Hello, folks. Tara here with the Wifey Wake-Up No Makeup Podcast. I didn't even technically do my hair this morning. My husband said, "You look great the way you are." And so I'm trusting him on that and also going with, I feel like I'm ready to clean the house, honestly. So just rolling with this today. But the point of that is not just to be talking about makeup and hair and all that stuff. It's really to talk to you, to women, because this is for women ideally, but guys, you can listen in too, is that you'd be surprised at how much your men actually like you in your more natural state. And that is not about just covering it all up. And I know once you get in the mode of doing your hair and makeup, it can feel like that's like you're dressed, right? So that's what this is all about. And particularly also because the Wifey School is all about getting down to the truth, getting real about life. It's based upon almost 25 years of marriage. My husband and I have been married almost 25 years now, and we've been through it. And so I'm addressing those things that are actually real. It's not hypothetical. It's not just a trend. It's what it comes down to in life. So today we're talking about, why am I so angry, tired, anxious, burned out? They all tend to kind of pile on top of each other. And that's what I know we all experience this, so it has to be addressed because it really affects our lives, right? When we're feeling just so on the edge, it first of all affects us, right? I know when I feel that way, is first of all, it bothers me. I don't like feeling that way. And especially if I let it out and it affects others, it is like never good, right? So let's address this today. So I did some looking into things. So I wanted to look into not just like what bothers me, why this comes up for me. So I did a bit of research and why this comes up for others as well, to make sure that I'm covering the gamut. So first of all, number one, of course, sleep deprivation. That affects us all from time to time, whether it's kids, especially when they're little, or even animals. My kitty woke me up today at like 5:30 a.m. My alarm goes off at 6 anyways, but it's like she knows. She's like, by the way, before your alarm goes off, I'm just going to wake you up. So it happens, right? And it might be also that you just have racing thoughts of all the things that you need to do the next day, and that's just your way of being. Maybe your body just aches. I actually, in this is going to be a two-part episode, because there's so much to cover here. And this first part, I'm covering things that are really physical, right? Physical, mental, and I actually have some herbal remedies and supplements that can help you out here. So if you have racing thoughts, or if something really dramatic happened that day, Rescue Sleep is a terrific remedy. It's technically an herbal flower essence homeopathic, but Rescue Sleep, I'll put some links in the show notes as well. And then we have, if your muscles are, maybe you had a good workout, maybe you're generally just feeling achy and tired. A lot of us are magnesium deficient. So that's number one. If it's your muscles, magnesium glycinate, especially for the muscles, can be very helpful. I love a particular, I'm going off on a tangent already. I had these listed, so you're going to get extra, evidently. I have a combination of magnesiums that I love when it's not just like a muscle issue. They're actually different kinds of magnesium, and they can help, for example, the brain, your thoughts, your muscles, all sorts of things. And many people are magnesium deficient, and there are hundreds of functions in the body that are dependent on having the proper amount of magnesium. One magnesium that I really like, it also has calcium, and it's a herbal supplement, is called Myocalm. It's by, I just temporarily forgot. The link will be in the notes. But Metagenics. And they also have a Myocalm PM. So the Myocalm in general is really great. You could take, I wouldn't take it in the morning because it could slow you down, but maybe in the afternoon if you're just really needing to relax, and especially the evening before massage is really great. And the Myocalm PM is really great if you have a very active mind before bed. And that was a little bit more heavy hitting in that way. That one you definitely want to take before bed, not during the day. And then if you're the list making type, if you're the type of person that is not just counting sheep, but you're counting all the things that you need to do the next day, vervain, another flower essence remedy, a Bach or Bach, depending on where you're from, BACH, flower essences. Again, I'll put links in the notes. That is excellent. You can take that any time of the day, add it to your water. I encourage you. I love to put it in my water and just drink it throughout the day. And that really helps that not only frame of mind, but it tends to be the type of person. So chronic sleep deprivation, that's definitely an issue. And we all know, if that's an issue, you already need to fix it. It's not usually a secret. We know when we haven't gotten good sleep. Another thing that I really like is I monitor my sleep with the Apple Watch and the Weltery app. I really like the Weltery app because it also helps, and the Apple Watch in particular, because it helps monitor your heart rate variability, not just your heart rate, which gives you a good indicator of what your autonomic nervous system is doing, whether your fight or flight or rest and digest are activating at the right time. And the Weltery app in particular, in addition to using that data and giving you feedback, it also utilizes it to let you know how well you're resting at night in particular, and then also how you're doing throughout the day. All right, we are almost 7 minutes in and I only got through number 1. Here we go. Hormonal chaos is number 2. I think, and similar to sleep, we know when hormones are affecting us, usually based upon our feedback, right? And I'm the type of person that really believes it's our responsibility. If we know that our hormones are affecting us, it's our responsibility to remedy that and not take it out on other people. Just, women, for example, if men were taking out their testosterone-ness, and some do, but if they're just imagine if they're just like, I just am high in testosterone today. That's why I decided to just imagine. You can imagine what high testosterone does, and realize that's obviously not an excuse. Or likewise, I think it's everybody's responsibility, particularly if you know that your hormones are really affecting how you interact with other people. It's our responsibility to manage that. And because it's good for us as well. I mean, yes, think of other people, but realize that's going to come back on you either way. So these hormone issues can run the gamut, right? And so I really encourage women in particular to find someone that works well for you, whether that's an acupuncturist, an herbalist, a functional medicine doctor. I really like people. I like the idea of working in multiple modalities. So maybe it's a clinic that has multiple modalities, but hormones can be a really tricky thing. I also love to use the Inito app and device, which helps me to monitor my hormones throughout the month. And so as I'm using herbal remedies too, I can see if those are actually affecting my hormones, which is very good validation in addition to actually experiencing the change. Then it's confirmation, right? So that's a really big topic. So I really encourage you to find someone that can help you with that. In nutrient deficiency or just an imbalance in diet in general, it can be a really big one. Whether it's you don't have enough D3 and maybe you're just feeling you don't have enough of the sunshine vitamin, even though it's a hormone, can really affect mood. Vitamin Bs, not having enough vitamin Bs can affect metabolism, can affect mood, so many things. Or just too much sugar. And even the good kind, it could be fructose, for example. You're like, I'm eating fruit. It's, I'm having a fruit shake. It's good, right? And throwing off your blood sugars or not getting enough fat, not getting a balanced nutrition overall can really throw off how you're feeling. Particularly if your blood sugars are spiking and dropping, that's when you feel hangry, right? And managing that can make a world of difference. Again, it's a topic that's way too big for this podcast itself, but just being mindful that that might be the thing. Sometimes when we're so overwhelmed, also, it's very hard to see what's going on with us. So having someone, even just simply in this podcast, bringing up the topics, or definitely working with someone like a nutritionist, your acupuncturist, whoever it may be, can really help you see outside of yourself. Also, again, we address this in the sleep category, but the mental load and the invisible list, right? If you're the type of person who writes a list, but then keeps it in their mind and adds to it and crosses it off and adds something to it and crosses it off just to be able to cross something off, you know the type. If I'm talking to you, I am one of those people. So I can really speak to this type of person that can really, really overcome you. And again, the vervain remedy that I mentioned before is very helpful. Again, it can be taken throughout the day. And I'll tell you, this is one thing also that really, really helped when I got my spiritual life in order. That I hardly have used that vervain remedy since I've gotten my spiritual life in order. And for example, had learned to pray, honestly. And that helped to prioritize my life and to also just notch down that list making. I still make lists just so it's not in my mind, but also to not be thinking about it all day, just be focusing on what is next rather than the next 10 things. Next, lack of boundaries. When becoming yes becomes a reflex and not being able to say no or say your preferences. This one I think is definitely left to the realm of therapy. This takes practice, and especially if you're around people who are very confident in what they want. It doesn't even mean that they're demanding by any means or disrespectful, but people who just are like, I want this, let's go do that. It can be hard to say no. I have to do it, for example, when I love spending time with my husband and he wants to do an activity, and I have to say, I need this time to myself, or maybe a lot of times is I have this project that I'm working on, and sometimes honestly it's really a call to take a break from work. That's just one example. There are many. Usually this example comes up when, well, that is actually an apropos example, because sometimes I explain to him, what I do is I explain to him, like, I really want to go with, and don't stop asking me to go with, because I don't want you to stop inviting me, but it pulls on me. And sometimes just explaining that to a very reasonable person, they can go, okay, I'll miss you. I'll still ask you. Maybe they'll encourage you to come along. And it is different too, of course, if they're asking for something that they might need. Again, I think therapy has really helped with that, and being able to discuss with someone the strategies on how to create healthy boundaries, and boundaries with standards as well. Again, very big topic. Last but not least on this list for today is disconnection from nature. And certainly we can feel anxious, overwhelmed. This starts getting into the category, which we'll get into part 2 tomorrow, which are the more nuanced things that, especially when we are caught up in life, that we overlook and we forget about and we disprioritize. And certainly being in nature is extremely healing. I'm sure many of you have heard about forest bathing, for example, and how just being in nature is very healing. Or even simply hanging out with your pet. I mean, they are a part of nature. They are our connection with nature, which is, I think, why so many of us love having pets in our household, because they are that connection within our house of that. And, I think it doesn't take much to imagine what you need to do just to reconnect with nature, right? A lot of this comes down to reprioritizing. We get so caught up, especially as women, we can get so caught up in what we think that we need to do. Actually, there is one more thing. One more point is number 7 is perfectionism. And I think this is actually what I was wrapping up with anyways, is that we think that we need to be perfect and we need to do all these things. We need to be the perfect wife, the perfect mom, the best friend. We have to have the the most amazing body. We have to, have the 6-figure income and business. And it may come down to it that you're at a point in life where those are high priorities. Let's just assume that. And I've been there too. This is, I think, the best point to reference, because if you don't have the business or little kids at home in particular, it can be easier to grasp this as well. But if you're at the point where everything seems to be a high priority, you're going to have to let some other things slide. And that may be that you don't have the perfect lawn. You're not holding all the events at your house or hosting, or you're hiring help if you can. And many times, like for me, when we live in an area when I couldn't afford housekeeping, that was one thing. And then even when I can afford housekeeping, we live in such an area where there is just not much available. We're far enough away from what we call the cities, the Twin Cities, that the services don't come out. And we're in such a populated enough area, but there's not enough demand for house cleaning, for example. And so I had to, especially at my busiest times, I had to settle with, okay, what's the absolute minimum I can live with? And fortunately, my husband is kind of that way anyways. Like, okay, the toilets are clean, the kitchen is clean enough. I actually have higher standards than that. We both have a cleanliness standard, but it's more about like neat and orderliness. I had to let that slide a significant amount while particularly at a very long growth period in my business, and had to just kind of put the blinders on and focus, for example, on getting in a workout. That was more important, I decided at the time, than trying to have the house that I wanted to have. And that's just one example. There are going to be times in your life where it's just so busy that trying to keep up with it all is going to drive you crazy. And then you likely will end up driving the people around you crazy, and it's just not worth it. There are times where you need to let things go. And if you don't have the perfect house or the lawn, or you're bringing maybe a store-bought dish or something to an event, that's what you need to do for the time. And it's okay to let that go. You can recover, you can recoup that later when you have more time. But it's like in business, when I learned, especially as I hired on a team, to focus on the things that only I can do, to hand off the tasks that other people can do and teach them to do it, then I felt less and less overwhelmed and could actually be more creative and more productive in other areas, because I was focusing on not only what are my strength areas, but what is it that only I can do, and that will really help you prioritize these things in life. Tomorrow we're going to have part 2, which is going to focus on some other things that crowd in on our life that can make us feel anxious, not make us, but can lead us towards that if we don't prioritize or just don't have the skills or the resources to know what to do. And that's really what I wanted to focus today on also, is pointing you in the direction of what can be really helpful based upon my 20-some years in marriage, in life, running an herbal business, and having used herbs and supplements in my practice in my life for many years. They can be so helpful. I would love to hear from you. I forgot to mention that. I would love to hear from you. What tends to get you up here, and what is the state of mind that you're trying to overcome? Maybe I didn't address here. Hopefully I'll get to in part 2 as well, because I can definitely share with you some things that have helped me, because I know there are lots of things that happen in life, and if I missed anything, let me know. And especially if you found something that's been very helpful to you, would love to hear what's been working for you as well. Make sure to like, subscribe, share this with a friend that you thought of while you're listening to this, or you think of now who this could help, and help spread the goodness. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.